Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me again. Today's ride is to the seaside. I'm starting the ride today from Cowpen Bewley Woodland Park at the northeast of Billingham. I've done so because those who are local who might want to follow in my wheel tracks will probably have their favourite route to here. For others who may wish to come by car, there is a free car park which is open until 9 PM most summer evenings. The weather this morning is currently overcast, but it's forecast, if you can believe it, to dissipate and leave us with blue skies, light winds and temperatures about 17°C. I'm hoping that some of these vlogs will inspire some of you to get out and see the countryside around. For anybody contemplating doing this ride, it's approximately 38 kilometres in distance or 23 miles in old money. There isn't much in the way of climbing, maybe about 200 metres or 600 or 700 feet over the whole length. However, a word of caution, this ride is mainly on roads. Although quiet for the most part, we do cross a couple of busy roads, and the last 6 kilometres is on roads which are frequently used by wagons during the week. Therefore it might be advisable for those who are not particularly confident on busy roads to ride this on a Sunday when it is much quieter. But hopefully if you do try to follow in my wheel tracks, you'll thoroughly enjoy the ride. Just take your time, there's no rush. Take a picnic, stop a few places and make a day of it. So as the sun breaks through, let's start this ride by turning right out of the car park, past the sewage works, and today it's a good job this is not in smelly vision, and onto the cycle track ahead. Over the wooden bridge and past the farm. You might even have seen some horses and donkeys on your way up here. There's a sharp 90-degree bend in this road, which is quite dangerous as cars do come down to visit the farm. Just take care going round here. Take care to look around and see what's there. You might just be able to see a World War II pillbox or gun emplacement straight ahead. There's also another one across to the left. The village of Greetham is down to the right, but we're actually going to turn left. And look, someone's been having fun during the coronavirus. Isn't that brilliant? We are approaching the first of our busy road crossings today. This is the 689 between Billingham and Hartlepool. Take care to look both ways. Make sure that the road is clear, as we're going straight across here and onto a nice quiet minor road. There are some rolling up and downs on this minor road, but nothing that's too difficult. Just take your time and enjoy the views. At the end of the road, turn right towards Cowpen Bewley. Do not turn left, as this leads directly out onto the very busy A19. As we approach the village of Cowpen Bewley, you can see the symbolic gate by the side of the road. Cowpen Bewley was originally a walled village with gates at each end which were shut every night to prevent the livestock from wandering out of the village during the night. Although the walls have mainly gone, there are remnants that can be seen if you wish to walk around. Having dropped down through the village, road takes a fairly sharp turn at the bottom before we go into the only major climb of the day. Take care in case there is loose gravel at the bottom of the hill. And please use your gears climbing the hill. And if you seem to be getting pains in your legs, which are becoming unbearable, feel free to get off and walk up the hill. Better to do that than to cause yourself an injury that takes you off the bike for some time. Like a lot of the hills here, it comes up in various stages with drops or flats in between. Just take those periods to let your legs ease out before striving to drive up the next section. Now at the top of the hill we've reached the crossroads with Elton Road. We'll be turning right here on our way down to Hartlepool. As you can imagine, we've just climbed up to this point, and next, because we're going back down to the sea, we're going to drop down the hill in Elswick Road. It is a bit rough in places, it can have cars passing you, and there are some side roads. So please descend at whatever speed you feel comfortable at. And at the bottom, when we hit the roundabout, we'll be turning left. On the steepest part of the hill, watch out for the roads to the right and left here. Past Aldi, we come to a roundabout where we turn right and carry on down to a set of traffic lights. Past the traffic lights, turn first left into Thornhill Gardens. Continue all the way along here, past the allotments on your left and the park on your right. Go through a squeeze gate and join the road at the other end, turning right. You come to another T-junction where again we're going to turn right, and this will lead us down to a roundabout with the busy A689 again. Our route here goes straight ahead past the hospital. If you're having difficulty crossing the road because it's busy, or you're not confident enough to ride it in the traffic around, please get off your bike, walk to the left, then use the pedestrian pavements to cross the carriageway one at a time. Now we're back into quieter roads again. At the end of the road, turn left and continue down to the traffic lights adjacent to Iceland, where we should turn right. Having passed the playing fields on your left. At the next junction, turn right. And past Hartlepool Rovers rugby football ground and take the cycle path immediately after the ground. This path rises fairly steeply upwards, and as with the other hill, if you're having any difficulty, a real difficulty at all, use your gears, and if it really hurts, get off and walk. You'll get the strength as time goes on. At the top we emerge onto Old Cemetery Road and turn right. And would you believe it, there's still a sea mist around. Turn left through the pillars on another cycle path. And now we get our first real view of the sea as we come down onto the sea wall. Unfortunately, with the sea mist as it is, there's not a lot we can see here. Some of you may be aware that the residents of Hartlepool are also known as the monkey hangers. This dates back to the Napoleonic War, when a French ship shipwrecked off the coast here on the rocks behind me. As the ship broke up, the fishermen discovered someone alive and tried to talk to them, but all they got from them was gibberish. Not understanding what was being said, they assumed the language was French and deemed the person to be a French spy and hung him. It turned out that it was the ship's pet, a monkey dressed in sailor's uniform, and from that time the Hartlepoolians have been called monkey hangers. In recognition of this infamous event, the monkey is depicted on all the headland trail notice boards. As we continue along the seawall, we come to the Hugh gun battery, which was installed to defend the headland in World War I and II. There's a museum at the gun battery. There is a charge to get into it. However, there's also a cafe called Poppy's inside. There is no charge if you just visit the cafe. Bikes can be taken through and kept within the walls, and if you're going to come with a group of maybe say 6 or more, it would be worthwhile ringing the day beforehand. Adjacent to the lighthouse on the headland is a memorial to those who were killed during the bombardment of Hartlepool headland in the First World War. This was the only bombardment on mainland Britain during this war. A total of 114 civilians, 9 soldiers and 7 sailors were killed, with 500 others being seriously wounded, several of these being children. Andy Cap is a cartoon character created by Reg Smythe and published in the Daily Mirror and Sunday Mirror. He's an unemployed lad from Hartlepool who finds it difficult to gather any enthusiasm for gaining employment. Rather, he enjoys the typical interests of the lads in this area. Pigeon racing and drinking in the pubs. As we continue along the seawall, we can actually see where we intend to go on the rest of the ride on our way down to Seaton Carew, which is along the horizon. We'll leave the headland by using the main road, where there is an on-road cycle track for most of the way. Just continue straight on at the roundabout with the new house and estate. To rejoin the cycle path. As we approach the next roundabout with the rail line going overhead, we've run out of cycle track. There is a convoluted way using a cycle track to get around this, but for the short journey on the 689 it's worth just continuing on the main road. It becomes a dual carriageway, so there's plenty of room for people to pass you, and we're only carrying on up here for a few hundred metres. So at the next roundabout, turn left and we'll head down towards the marina, and just ahead of you you might see the masts of HMS Trincomalee in the Naval Museum. And here we are turning into the marina. However, there's one particular craft that I would like to draw your attention to. This is the MV Coronavia, now named the Watchful. This was one of the original small ships that went to Dunkirk to evacuate the Allied troops. It's currently under restoration. The marina does offer several choices for a cafe stop, although there is another opportunity later on as we make our way to Seaton Carew. During our journey, it's necessary for us to cross the lock gates at the entrance to the marina. Before we do, you can see that the monkey has raised his head again, and this time he's there to collect money for charity. It's worth getting off your bike and walking across here, as some of the turns are quite tight. We leave the marina by passing the bars and cafes and going out towards the yacht club, which is straight ahead. Just follow this road until you arrive at the roundabout where we turn left. Then continue down the road to the end of the houses and turn left at the National Cycle Network Route 14 sign for Seaton Carew and Greetham. There is a dropped curve here that allows you to go onto the pavement and make your way around and up onto the promenade. Now the mist has started to clear we can look back to the headland where we have recently been. The sea's quite calm today, and out on the water are a couple of yachts. Although the promenade is very wide to begin with, it slowly narrows as we get closer to Seaton Carew. It's not too busy today, but it can get busy at times, so it's worth just paying attention to the pedestrians here, who sometimes move around or let their dogs run around without looking to see if anything's coming. It's fairly close to high tide today, but if it's at low tide, it's worth stopping around here and having a look out at the sands, where the submerged petrified forest can sometimes be seen. This forest dates back to about 2500 BC, when there was land between Britain and Europe, which was then submerged in the Great Flood that formed the North Sea. Across to our right, you might just be able to make out the Redcar offshore wind farm emerging from the mist. Another place where you can get coffee is the Surfside Cafe, just as you're coming towards Seaton Carew. An interesting piece of street art has been installed by the council just as you come into the village of Seaton Carew. Continue straight along the seafront through the village, noting that the pedestrian numbers are greater on this section. Past the multicoloured beach huts. And continue along the front a little bit more before turning back towards the main road. We can then turn in and have a break near the Art Deco, at the Art Deco bus station, and there are toilets which will be open after the coronavirus is over, just next to the clock tower. Turn left on the main road when you leave the bus station, and this is the start of where the roads might get a bit busier. Unlikely to have too many lorries at this stage, but cars, especially on summer days, can be quite frequent. As we've come down the main road, the scenery has become more industrialised. The large building straight ahead is Hartlepool's nuclear power plant, and to the right or straight ahead is Abel's shipbuilding yard, where they are currently dismantling disused or obsolete oil and gas rigs. At the roundabout we continue straight on and up the hill on the A178, and this is where the number of lorries can increase, certainly during the week. Next we pass the dioxide plant that makes a white pigment that goes in anything from paint to makeup. It's not for these industrial items that I brought you down this road. There's something of much more interest further on. As we cross the bridge over Greetham Creek, we're approaching the first of the wildlife hides that I've brought you to see. viewpoint affords many opportunities to have a look at the wildlife that reside in the lagoons here. Birds, but especially seals, can be seen through these apertures. The second hide is of a similar metal construction, but is positioned adjacent to the car park, which allows you to visit both of these hides. This hide is again constructed from metal and gives views out onto the marshes, more for bird watchers and for seal watchers. Having left the second wildlife hide, we'll continue to travel south until we reach the next roundabout, when we'll turn right. As we approach the roundabout where I would intend to turn right in order to go back to the woodland park, with your indulgence I'm going to continue straight on for a few hundred meters to show you another interesting place which can be reached quite easily from Billingham and Stockton. This is the entrance to RSPB Salthome. Unfortunately, it's not actually open at the present time, but it does have a visitor centre with a cafe, and if you arrive on foot or by bicycle, currently it's free to enter the visitor centre. There are also paths that go through the reserve and come out in Port Clarence, which would have offered an alternative way back to the woodland park. Now back at the roundabout, turning left after my short detour. We're into Seal Sands Link Road. We're now coming up towards the bridge over the railway from Hartlepool to Billingham, and we're reaching the end of our ride. Rolling downhill, we reach the crossroads and turn right. Back at the woodland park where we started. Well, that's us back at the woodland park, having completed our 38 kilometre or 23 mile ride. Only one real big hill in that, and that wasn't too difficult if you take your time and use the gears. You might have noticed that there was a cycle track running alongside the main road from the first wildlife hide down as far as the roundabout. This is constructed using fine gravel and is okay for bikes which have large wheel tyre sizes. So you might like to try it if you're on a mountain bike or on a hybrid. I hope you've enjoyed this video. There's plenty there to look at, and maybe even to do a bit of research on if you're that way inclined. Thank you very much for watching the video. Hope to see you again on the next one. If you want to know of any videos coming out, please hit the subscribe button below and the bell next to it, choosing the all option, and you'll get notifications when I put out another video. Hope to see you again. Bye for now. Stay safe.